Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to walk through one of the most nerve-wracking parts of scaling a business, which is making your first hire in your delivery systems, which for a personal trainer will be hiring your first coach to coach your clients. So I've done this now probably about 15 times in my own business, and I've probably helped about 50 other coaches do exactly the same thing. So what I'm going to do is walk you through some of the first steps you need to do, the position you really need to be in, and some of the biggest mistakes that coaches make when they hire too. Because no matter how many coaches I've helped, I've also had to help just as many coaches that have come to me. Either they've tried to do it themselves without really thinking it through, or they've worked with a mentor that's never really scaled their own fitness business and has advised them to do something stupid. So hopefully this video will put a bit of a knife in that, and you'll have a bit of a blueprint of where you need to be and what you need to think about before you hire a coach. So the first thing you need to consider when you come to hire a coach is, what are you hiring the coach for? And there's two instances where we see this happen when we work in a coaching business, and I'll walk you through kind of each one because each of them needs slightly different scenarios. So the first scenario where you can hire a coach is hiring an assistant coach to help you with your clients. So when I write out an SOP for what world standard coaching looks like, it involves checking in with the client every single day. It involves having multiple touch points and multiple calls with the client to make sure that they are completely switched on. They know exactly what they need to be doing. The plan is perfectly adapted to their situation. And then I always run an extremely high level of accountability with my programs, because I know that the hardest thing for people to do to get results is to just stick to the plan. So I want to make sure that people have an extremely high touch point service to be able to stick to a plan, because I know that my business lives or dies by the results that it gets. And if people don't stick to the plan, they don't get results. I don't get results. I don't get reviews. I don't get referrals. I don't get the marketing strategy to be able to then go and get more clients because my program's shit. So what I want to be able to do is make sure I can deliver that. Now, as a coach grows their company, you will get to a point where you can't do that for X amount of clients. You can't touch base with everyone every day. And up to about 40 or 50 clients, I could. So I'd get up, I'd message everyone every morning, I'd check over the food diaries, I'd check over the training programs. But they got to a point where the business grew to a level where I couldn't provide that every single day. So what I did when I got to that point was I hired a success coach. And the success coach came in and did all the daily accountability, made sure that everyone's training plan was up to date, made sure everyone's nutrition was up to date. So all I then had to do is go in and look at all the data at the end of the week and then make adjustments to the plan and do the face-to-face check-in with the client. So the Loom video or whatever you do. I also just did the coaching calls with the client. So when a client had a review point, or it was time for them to re-sign for another 3, 6, 12-month commitment, I did those calls because those are major money-making tasks in the business, and therefore it was good for me to do it. So that's the first instance. And if you are in a business that's growing quite slowly, maybe you're taking on 5 or so clients a month. If you've got good retention, that can be something that, although you're not making loads of sales, you're building up a good client list, and you can end up with 60, 70 clients just through having really good retention and a minimal amount of sales. So that's something that you can do there. Now, if you want to hire a coach to take on their own clients, and you want to have coaches work underneath you and deal with the clients from A to B, all the way through the process, then there's a couple of things that you need to have in place before that to make it a worthwhile hire. The first thing is you need to make sure you have enough lead flow for these coaches. So too many people hire a coach and then they've got them sat around with a thumb up their ass thinking, when am I going to get my clients? And then the coach gets a bit jumpy, starts advertising for their own clients because they need to make some money. You get pissed off because you're like, bro, why are you fucking advertising for clients when you work for me? And it all just ends up a bit weird. And I see too many coaches outside of my mentorship do that. And it's something that I would highly recommend you against. The first thing you need to make sure that you have before you have a coach is you have the lead flow to have a coach. Okay. So rule of thumb, I usually think you need to be doing a minimum of 10 extra sales a month to make sure that that happens. Because what's going to happen, let's say you have a 4-month program, a coach will generally handle like 60 or so clients realistically. So let's say, for example, month 1, they get 10 clients, month 2, they get 10 clients, month 3, they get 10 clients, month 4, they get 10 clients, which is going to mean they're at 40 clients. Then they might, they'll lose 5, but keep 5 on a longer term program. So you need to replace those ones. And that needs to happen. Okay. So you're going to need 10 extra clients every month for the first 4 months, and then you're going to need 5 extra clients after that. And that's the kind of level that you need to be signing clients up at. If you want to hire 2 coaches, then you're going to need 20. If you want to hire 3 coaches, you're going to need 30, etc. You need to have a system already where you go, yo, we've got a coach coming in. Let's turn the dial up on this acquisition, whether it's ads, whether it's something else, whether it's outreach, whether it's affiliates, partners, whatever. You need to have a dial where you go, we've got a new coach, turn it up, get the leads in, get the sales, give them the clients. If you don't have that and you're just hiring because you're being stretched a little bit thin, you're not in the right position to hire. And I think a lot of people make that mistake. They make the mistake when their time's run out and they want a bit more time, but it doesn't need a full-time member of staff and they don't have the systems to bring on a full member of staff. The third thing you need is a coaching process. You need a systemized way of coaching your clients. It's almost like, I always use like a McDonald's analogy. When I've worked in McDonald's, I never worked burger flipping. Luckily, I worked on the tills because I can count. But what usually happens is that you have a systemized way of making a burger. So everybody that goes to McDonald's and gets a burger gets the same burger. You don't get a better burger from one McDonald's and a shit burger from another one because they make the burgers a different way. You expect the same thing standardized every single time. And that's what you need to build your coaching program like. There needs to be what you call an SOP for coaching, which is standard operating procedure. If you don't have a standard operating procedure, every single coach is going to coach in a different way. Every client is going to get a different experience, and that's either going to be a very, very good thing or a very, very bad thing. I don't like to play percentages on that, and sometimes you will get a very, very bad thing because a lot of coaches do not know what world-class coaching looks like. So you need to set the standard. That means you need to have a client journey. Day 1, client comes in. This is what happens. Day 2, this is what happens. Day 3, this is what happens. This is how a check-in is performed. This is how I expect coaching calls to be performed. This is how I expect re-signs to be done. This is how I expect daily accountability to be done. This is how I expect a training program to be built. This is how I expect a nutrition program to be built. And I guarantee you, outside of somebody working with me, if I very rarely see a coach come to me that's already hired, that has done that level of training and has that SOP. And then they wonder why their coaches don't get results, they don't have good retention, they don't get good results, and they can't perform as well as the initial person in the business. Now, let me be very, very clear here. If a coach that comes into your business cannot coach clients better than you can, it is your fault. Okay, because the 2 things that have happened here: 1, you've not set a standard, and 2, you've hired the wrong person. Okay, it's your fault. If you can coach clients and get results on your own while managing everything else in a business, while doing the sales, the lead gen, content, fucking whatever you have to do, if you can do that and get results with clients, you should be able to get someone to come in and do just client work and to be able to replicate the level of results that you do. They're the 2 things that you need. You need lead flow and you need standard procedures of what happens in onboarding, delivery, re-signs, offboarding, all of that stuff. You should not be thinking about hiring until those things are in place. So, mistakes to avoid with hiring a coach. And here's a couple of things that I see go wrong. Obviously, the 2 that I've already just spoke about, not having an SOP in place and not having enough lead flow. The other ones that come into actually like managing a coach and with the hiring process and things like that, they don't hire thoroughly enough. Okay. They don't cast the net out wide enough. They don't do enough interviews. They don't speak to enough people. They don't think enough. What they usually do is they'll see a coach that they think they like and they'll snap them up straight away because they just want to get it over with because the process makes them feel uncomfortable. That's how you make bad hires. Hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, take your time with finding the right person. If you have a gut feeling that someone's wrong, get them out as soon as possible. That's the lesson that I've always learned. Every time I've gone away from that lesson, it's always bit me in the arse. So I recommend that you listen. But make sure that you do enough interviews, you speak to enough people, you cast your net wide enough to find the right person. I always hire based on culture and based on work ethic versus their current position. Okay. So if a coach comes in and they've not got the world of experience, but they've got some intangibles, so they are really personable, they're dead chatty, they've got a good physique themselves, because in my opinion, I think that's necessary as a coach. They've got the ability to lead because they have to lead your clients. Don't pick somebody that's a walkover or is too junior in their personality because your clients will walk all over them. you need to make sure that you get the right personality fit versus get the right credentials. So what I do is I have a tight form that I have every coach fill in when they apply to work for me. And I don't ask anything to do with their school background. I don't care what GCSEs they got. I don't care what university they went to. All I care about is coaching qualifications, i.e., are you constantly improving yourself? Have you gone and done extra CPD? Because that's a value that I actually want in my staff. And the second thing is all about the interview. So I'll do actually way more interviews than normally people would, because even if somebody's got a bit of a sketchy application, I'll get on a Zoom with them and I'll suss them out as a person. Because sometimes I found the best hires from people that maybe on paper haven't been the best candidates, but they've got the best values and the best personality and they're the best fit for the role. So I would always make sure that you do that. The second thing is pay structure. People pay coaches like partners, not like staff. Coaches, when you bring into the business, you are a business owner, they are staff, they are paid like staff. The average going rate for a full-time personal trainer is somewhere in the realms of £2,500 a month to £3,500 a month. £2,500 a month for Gen Pop coaching. Maybe you've got under 5-6 years of experience as a high-level personal trainer. Maybe you'll get into the threes and 3.5s if you're an extremely experienced personal trainer. Remember that this is a job role. They are not getting their own clients. They're not doing content. They're not running a mini business within your business. And therefore, they should be compensated like staff, not like partners. There's too many coaches where I assess the business when they sign up and it's, oh, I'm paying my coach 30%. I'm paying my coach 40%, sometimes up to 50%. I'll tell you for free, no business that has to advertise and sell their services can survive if they're paying 50% of the cost of the program in delivery. Your delivery cannot be 50% of your income. You cannot be paying that out. It doesn't work. Even 30% doesn't work. Realistically, 10 to 15%, maximum 20%. But that's maximum. And that's usually for things where it's heavily, heavily specialized. Really, your goal as a business owner is to get it down to 10, 15% of delivery. That's really where it needs to be. So coaches overpay people too much. And then when it's time to scale their ad campaigns, let's say they've got an ad campaign that's they're putting 100 quid in and they're getting 500 quid out. And you go, cool, that works for 100 quid. Let's spend, £100 a day or £1,000 a day. For example, if you want to get into the 100K a month mark, you're probably going to have to spend 20 grand over the course of a month to get your business there. Now, if all of your money is going on staff, you're not going to have the money to do that and pay yourself. So then your choice is either going to be, well, do I get paid or do I pay the ads? And you're obviously going to pay yourself because it's your business. And that's where people get stuck. So don't do it. The third problem is no QC. Okay. They hire people, you give them a couple of clients, and then they just open the floodgates and they let them do whatever they want. Do not do that. Remember that as a CEO, part of your job is management. Too many coaches just start scaling their business, and once they've hired, they're like, get that off my plate now. I don't need to fucking deal with that anymore. Yes, you do. It's just your job is more leveraged. Instead of doing all of the work for all of the hours of the day, you manage someone else doing the work for a smaller portion of the day. But what too many coaches do is they go completely off the wall with it and they just do nothing. They just hire the coach, they give them the clients, and they just expect then the results. And that isn't the case. And a once-a-week meeting is also not good enough. You need to be checking over that coach's work 2 or 3 times during the day. You need to be getting a start of day report, an end of day report. You need to be doing a weekly end of week meeting with them. You need to be doing a meeting at the start of the week to set the tone at minimum. I know some business owners that do QC every single day. They have a meeting with every single member of the team every single morning to lay down the law. If you want a high functioning, low stress business, you have to set standards. You cannot set standards if you are not meeting with your team. So make sure you do that. And then the final thing is how to go through the hiring process. So I do this in a couple of steps. I do it in 3 steps before I onboard someone. The first step is actually putting out the application. So I get as many applications as I can. I'll look in my personal network. I'll look with other business owners. I'll put it on Indeed. I'll try and get as varied a group of applicants as possible because I want to exhaust every single opportunity. Even if I've got loads of applicants, sometimes even if I don't hire them all, I will earmark people for later down the line. So I'm not restarting the whole hiring process over and over and over again. So I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, right, I've got enough people here, I need to start shortlisting. And I'll start knocking off the people that I know are bad fits. I'll look at people's Instagrams. Okay, don't like you, don't think you're, and again, it's not that I don't like you, it's maybe that I don't think you're a good fit for the clients. I don't think you've got the right personality. You might not have the right skill set. For me, I think coaches should be in shape. So if they're not in shape, I just discredit them immediately. If you can't keep yourself in shape, you can't be a trainer, in my opinion. So there's all them things you need to do. So I'll shortlist it maybe to like 5 to 7, sometimes 10 if I've got loads of good applicants. And then I will do Zoom interviews with everyone. And I will find out why they want the job, what the goals are, what the values are, what they like, how they got into the industry, why they got into the industry, all of those things. Because on the call, I'm looking at values. I'm looking at their personability. I'm looking, can these guys work with my clients? Can I work with them? Your coaches are going to be your whole team's going to be tight knit. You're not building a massive corporation. Even at £1 million a year, you're going to have 6 coaches, a couple of setters and a closer. All right. It's not going to be a fucking corporation. It's going to be a small team. So you need to like everyone in it. So make sure that you've got people that you can spend time with, because you'll spend a lot of time with these people. You'll talk to them every day. They'll become probably close acquaintances, maybe not friends if they work for you, but definitely acquaintances. So you've got to make sure that you can get on with them. The final thing I'll do is a case study. So I'll give them a client, a fake client to set up. I'll give them an onboarding form, and I just want to see what they do. And again, I'm not expecting perfection. I'm not expecting it to be amazing. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the 7 or 8s out of 10s in that group, because I can take a 7 or an 8 to a 10. What I can't do is take a 2 or 3 to a 10. And too many coaches hire 2s and 3s, and all you can ever do is take a 2 or 3 to a 6 or a 7. Okay. You can't take a 2 or 3 to a 10. They're not going to develop that far. They don't have the natural talent. So you need to pick 6, 7s and 8s and try and get them to 10. And that's the kind of job of you being a manager of talent and getting the right people in. So it's a 3-step process: application, and I'll do interviews, and then I'll do a case study for the final applicants, and then I'll make the choice for that. And the final thing is that I'll give you advice on this: shelf the good ones. You may get 2 extremely good candidates. Okay. Don't make the mistake of hiring both. You can do that with salespeople, but you can't do it with coaches, because they're working with clients. They're working with your customers. So don't do that. You need to pick the best one. Then tell the other one, if you wanted to hire them both at the same time, you say, look, I thought somebody else was the good fit for this position right now with where we are. However, can I come back to your application in 6 to 8 weeks' time? If we've got another spot available, most people will just say yes, put them on the shelf. Always have 2 or 3 people on the shelf at all times, because then if anyone needs to go, anyone decides to leave, or you decide to get rid of anyone, you've got people that you've already lined up ready to go, and you don't need to do the whole process again. So that is a one-stop shop in hiring your first coach. There's loads of things I went through there. I'll probably listen back to this a couple of times if you're going through this process yourself now. Hopefully that's useful. If you want any help in hiring your first coach, if you want us to help you manage that system, it's exactly what we do. At Leverage, we help you build out the SOPs. We help you find the right candidates. We give you all of the hiring processes, the questions to ask, and we'll actually sit down with you on the interviews as well and make sure that you get the right person. It is a massive, massive step for you in your business. Make sure that you do it right. If you want our help with it, one-to-one, just click the link in the comments below. You can book a call with me personally, and I'll go through the process and make sure that it's the right thing for you to do. Hopefully that was helpful. Speak to you soon.